Finals of UADC 2024. On government bench we have the Macao University of Science and Technology, and on opposition we have Shanghai University of Finance and Economics. I want to already congratulate both teams for making it this far. It is an incredible feat and you should be very, very proud of yourselves. My name is Shireen. I'll be the chair for the round and I'll ask my panelists to introduce themselves in the order from my left.
Hi, I'm Rikk. Best of luck to both.
How are you? All the best. I'm Ichiro. Hello, my name is Rivaldo.
Hello, my name is Vinodhan. Good luck to you. Hello, gentlemen. Here no pronoun section.
I am Namita. Good luck.
Hi, my name is Umar. All the best. Great. Good luck, everyone.
Alright, so I presume everyone knows UADC format by now. So I'll be keeping time of your speeches, but I unfortunately do not have the bell sound. Does any of my panelists have the app with the bell? Yeah, you do? Can you test the bell sound? Is that audible to both teams? Okay, if not, please do time yourselves and your fellow speakers. Please offer and take POIs between the first and 6th minute for engagement, and we will stop taking notes at 7:15. If there are no further concerns, I invite the Prime Minister to begin his speech in the motion standing in their name.
Can I be heard? Thank you. And should I just raise up your hand? Probably will take your hand. Government will win this debate by explaining 3 things. 1, why we can achieve the utilitarian principle of the whole society. But 2nd, why we can maximize the happiness of individual, but 3rd of all, maximize the efficiency. Setup. 1, most of the people do not have one chance to choose the job they love, or they even cannot find the job you love or you are interested in. The priority of the middle or the poor class people is to get a salary at the very first place. For example, you want to be a lawyer, but it oftentimes needs you have family tradition, etc., to support you get this kind of things. But secondarily, the hobbies are symmetric, which means that if you want to, after your work, you want to go to debate or etc., you probably can do it symmetrically. Third of all, many jobs are very boring, many jobs are repetitive, which means you either way will make you very unhappy. The only way for you to solve this problem probably is you behave very excellent. For example, you debate very well like David Africa. But first of all, poor or the middle class people do not know or do not have the resources to try these kind of things, which means at the very first place, you do not can afford the opportunity cost for you to get this goal. Which means you can, in our house, we can make this machine to make those particular people to successful easier. 5. The trade-off is quite simple. Up to the middle class people no longer can try so many diversified jobs at our side of house, right? But the implication is the poor people can have a better life. That's what we defend. But last of all, the government will fund you. They still will give you scholarship. The funding is symmetric, which the intuition point is to have 2 forces. 1, we can save the money for to support the standardized test, for example, like the Gaokao in China. For but secondarily, it either can be scholarship. Which means that if the opposition case is if I just test to be a doctor but I have no money to support, it has failed because it is not true, right? Three clash in this debate. One, principle. Second, happiness. Third, efficiency. First, why will principle win? Two mechanisms. One, because we solve the information barrier. The status quo is only rich people know and what they are good at or what they enjoy. Poor people do not have the incentive and the money to afford at the very first place. We solve the opportunity cost, make poor people have more incentive, have more confidence to invest in their education. For example, in your early stage of your life, you know you are good at doctor. The machine has told you, which means that comparatively, outside the house of poor people, your parents more likely have the incentive to invest you at the very first place. The impact is quite simple. We increase the education, either increase the successful rate for poor people to get success. The principle implication is here. Wait a second. Society has been systematically unfair because of old money, because lots of unfair discrimination happen. And in a way, it's the only way for poor people to break this unfair at the very first place. Second, utilitarian. Status quo is loss of the money the government invests more is waste at the very first place. For example, the Macao government invests my partner Alex Scott to be a doctor, but he found he actually do not interested and he want to be a debater. This money is waste at the very first place. But in comparison, in outside house, all the government investment can be used in utilitarian, can be maximized efficiency. That's the reason we can achieve the utilitarian of the whole society. Let me watch your principle. I know they will talk about the free will, right? You are not choosing born in this world. That's why the free will at the very first place probably do not exist. The implication is it has been a winning case because the whole principle of the whole society function should be prioritized than any impact at the very first place. It is inside of the humanity of all the individual, all the human beings. If opposition cannot prove this barrier, they will fail. Second, happiness. One, because you more likely to get success. When you are good at it, you more likely to happiness. For example, when you first do the debate, you can come up with like the 10 mechanisms, 10 impact, 10 implication. I believe that your parents and you are so proud of you. But secondarily, even if successful rate is symmetric under your best case, maybe similar, you can be a CEO, but the difference is you won't do so many mistakes. You will behave well. You either won't get so many discrimination and perceptual bias from the outside. For example, as a doctor, you maybe have this like the surgery wrong, right? You either want to be blamed by your boss so frequently. That's the tipping point why you can get more happiness. But third, the interest for you to discuss after work are highly increased because the community also trusts you, because yourself either trust you can do very good because you believe your future is bright. That's the reason. But third of all, the after work activity is symmetrical, right? For example, you still can go debate. For example, you still can play basketball. That's important. One, because you are keeping doing repetitive job which make it boring, which means the hugest happiness still exists. But secondarily, even if all these things wrong, you still need money to support your hobby. That's the unique benefits you can get in the government because you can have so much money to go UADC, etc. In comparison, we have so many benefits, so many maximize the happiness. Before I move on, yes.
Can you be more clear about your selection mechanism of this machine? What do you depend on? Skills, potential, talents?
I think it's just like an Infoslide. I think it's a very complex calculation at the very first place. Third, efficiency. One, utilitarian for the government to maximize the happiness. I have told you, you cannot waste the money for you to invest Alex Scott to be a doctor, which means that in outside house, the government no need to gambling at the first place. You can just put your money wholly in one talent at the very first place to make him to be great at the very first place, to create more benefits for the society. For example, in outside house, probably in the COVID-19, you will have much more excellent doctor at the very first place, can solve for so many difficulties in the society, which is important for two reasons. One, so many difficulties, so many problems in Cisco can be maximized, can be fixed because you have so many talents. The problem in Cisco, just like lots of companies do not have the talents. But secondarily, you will have a better welfare because you have more talents to create the benefits for the whole society. Welfare can tangibly benefit the people on the ground. Second, you either no need to go like a standardized test, you no need to like spend so huge of the money, right? Lots of talents can like just go to the wrong way based on the standard types because they can never know what you are interested in your early stage. The way is here. Lots of people happiness is from after like school or after work activities. If we prove you have more money, if we prove you can get more welfare at the very first place, probably large proportion of the people, large proportion of the citizens, their happiness can be maximized. That's the reason why we're so proud to oppose.
I thank the Prime Minister for that fine speech, and I invite the leader of opposition to open the opposition bench.
When you ask a few lines, use the mic, please.
Hello everyone. Is that working? Okay. Hello everyone, I'm Daniel, and before my speech, just thanks everyone thanks to my teammates, and thanks to all the judges for all the way here. Okay, and I for no gender preference pronouns, and you just voice out for POI. Thank you. Okay. So, starting my speech in 3, 2, 1, go. First 3 days winning. Firstly, we do not believe that the skill is the same thing as a talent. Talent is something you're born with, but you are neither born to be a debater or born to be the lawyers. You actually learn those kind of skills after your birth to actually get the potential to be either a lawyer or a debater. Secondly, we believe that such kind of machines will be in the best interest of the states because the states is to want to use it to maximize, for example, their GDP growth to put those kind of people in the most suitable positions. Thirdly, we believe that people do not have the autonomy to choose whether to use this machine or not in the outside, because in their world, the companies they will have the incentives to push you to use these machines to instead of those kind of interviews to check whether you are suitable for the position they offer. So people just make no consent to these kind of machines. The Gulf side mainly talk about 2 things. First, they believe that they will be fair to the poor. 2 layers of battle. Firstly, we have to tell you that the skill not equalize to the talents. So even you are poor who are talented in law or talented in debating, you still do not have those kind of educational resources through those kind of skills to actually to adopt the skills of debate of laws, the skills of debating. So at the end of the day, you still not get chosen by this kind of machine. You are still chosen to do some kind of laboring jobs, etc. And secondly, even if they are true, they are based on talents, the poor outside still do not have those kind of resources to join those kind of expensive medicine or those kind of law schools. They never prove to us that why the poor outside will magically have the capacity, or the state will magically have the capacity to offer the poor with such kinds of education. The second thing to talk about is that those kind of things they will maximize the utility. 3 layers of rebuttal. First, this is not necessary. For example, you can be most skillful at debating, but second skillful at medicine. But you still can hold certain kinds of competitive advantage to others in medicine, so you do not need to choose your most skillful job. Second layer of rebuttal is that we still have market mechanism in the status quo. If you are lack of doctors, as they claim, the people will complete to be a good doctor in the status quo and fill this gap. Thirdly, those kind of personal happiness just has nothing to do with state productivity. For example, maybe I'm more skillful to be a doctor, but just I do not want it because it's so tiring and sucks, and it actually do not maximize my happiness. Meaning 2 things out of speech. Firstly, why those kind of skillful harm personal interest, and secondly, why on their side they will cause social stratification. Firstly, why the skillful do not mean the things you love. We believe that people have 4 reasons for making other personal choices other than their most skillful jobs. The 4 reasons. Firstly, they have different personal interests. Some people may be most interested in debating, but the machine tells them, oh, you're better to be a doctor, so you choose to be a doctor, but it actually violates your personal interests. So in a status quo, you will still choose to be debating because you have a sense, you gain this kind of sense of achievement and happiness debating, not your most skillful job. The second reason for this is that the social people actually have the incentive to choose a job which holds higher social status. We believe that this is still likely to happen in the outside the house because there's just jobs that likely to have high social status. Those kind of white-collar jobs that appear to be good to people, or those kind of doctoring which are seemingly like saving people's life. So the people have the incentive, even they are not more skillful at these kind of things, they will have the incentives to choose to those kind of things to achieve those kind of social status. The third reason is that people generally have the incentive to chase for those kind of wages. We do not think ourselves there actually will be sufficient demand for those kinds of things you are most skillful at. For example, maybe I'm skillful at those kinds of neighboring work, but this industry is just dying in your nation. At the end of the day, you cannot find a job. So people actually are chasing for the job with kind of high wages, and this is fully legitimate for maximize of their own utility. And fourthly, many people just hold other metric other than those kind of things. For example, I just want to achieve work-life balance. I want to achieve a more relaxed job. I do not want to work so hard. That's not necessary to be my most skillful job. Why this kind of thing is fully justified against those kind of state productivity claimed by outside? Two things. Firstly, we believe that productivity is the not only metric for this kind of utilitarian. Utility is something highly subjective. It's I feel happy or not. It is actually individualized, determined. So on their side of the house, they are just from the perspective of the state, determining the maximum utility of the whole state, putting you at your most skillful job, maximize those kind of productivity, but not necessarily maximize those kinds of personal happiness. Second thing, we believe that this is just principally unjustified for state. We believe that the state is based on social contract. It actually divides liberty from you. It's to give liberty to you. It is only justified one way. For example, states derive you the liberty to kill other people. It is to protect your life. But in these kind of cases, they derive your liberty to choose your job, but just do not offer you with any kinds of more freedom. And we believe that this is principally legitimate. Yes, POI.
How many people in your side of house will enjoy jobs?
Yes, I think that people will enjoy jobs, right? They just have the self-achievement, those kind of things. And actually, I believe that the people in outside the house can make their interest their job. Of course, if you make your personal interest your job, for example, being a debater, being a judge, you will enjoy it. The second thing is about stratification. Firstly, there's a mechanism. Firstly, we believe that many kinds of skills, especially those kind of physical skills, are actually determined by genes, right? Some people are just born to be those kind of physically capable, and the male are just born to be more physically capable than the female. That means on their side of the house, this kind of skill base are more likely to put those kind of physical, those kind of labor-intensive job to those kind of members of society who are more physically capable, especially this kind of male, and causing a stratification first between genders and second between people who is just born with different kind of genes. Secondly, we believe that outside, the rich people still have more incentive information about what skill is needed for the certain job, right? Maybe they have members who have been a family member who have been a CEO, so they exactly know those kind of skills needed to be a CEO, so they can train their kids from the young age to be a CEO, those kinds of maybe the skills of giving speeches, the skills of logic reasoning, etc. They still hold those kind of benefits, and also they still hold more resources than people. The third is that the problem with that side is that people cannot opt in or out of this job after they have choice. They cannot do this kind of retraining program to get another skill once they opt in, or they can even not opt out if this kind of industries are dying and you earn a minimum wages in those kind of industries, but just because they have made the choice before, you have no choice to opt out but to be inside these dying industries. So based on all those kinds of personal choices, maximize individual utility and stratification, proud to oppose.
I thank the leader of opposition for that fine speech, and next invite the Deputy Prime Minister to defend their case.
I'm audible. The first question I ask is how many jobs zero side house can choose at the first place? In Macau, 60% of the jobs in the casinos, the poor people cannot choose to be a lawyers, to be a doctors at the first place. Oftentimes they have to force to be that. It's looking like you're born in a family with doctors like me. You oftentimes cannot choose what exactly jobs at first place. You have to fight, you are so hard to fight with your cringy, scolded Asian parents. I'm quite sure that this machine makes a much better decision than my old patriarchy busy male at first place. If there's a house cannot prove there's a house cannot prove there's a house can make better decisions, there's a machine, and then your parents will scold you, and most of the Asian people looks like there's that also cannot claim their principle at first place. First, let's be clear of this wrong. Don't knife the emotion at first place. I think the skill looks like the critical skills that is inherently newborn. It's looking like if you are super careful, be a doctor at first base. We are doing at 1 or 2 years at first base. That is likely to be equally distributed between the rich and poor people. It's likely to be true that we are doing in 1 or 2 years. It's because it's a democracy. Most of the people are poor. They know they cannot fight against those kind of rich people when they are going to the privileged schools and learn some skills at first base. They have more votes at first base. It's not likely this model will benefit rich people that much or significantly better. First case that never engaged is the efficiency of the government. My partner's case is not linked about, the people can do the jobs much more efficient. We agree that some of people may not like doctor but good at being doctor. The efficiency of ours at the house is linked to how the society works. Most of people just don't know what they are good at first place. I'm a medical student, but I'm not good at it. So you are just wasting the public university resource and spending huge money on you at the first place. You are likely to try to be another one. But secondly, even if someone is good at debating, you may losing your WDC grand final to the debate Africa. You feel so disappointed and you're choosing another major. Even if you are good at something, then the time you're making some failure, you will doubt yourself, you are uncertain of yourself, and you are likely to, in their house, fail more at the first place. Which means even if they're in their best case, that someone really good at it, that they also choosing the job, they can find the thing they are good at, but still their house is uncertain, they are still within the society resources. The implication here is most of the people cannot choose a right job, or they are just always try and fail. It wastes massively on the government resources. It looks like everyone choosing a job one times, wasting the education resources. Their house need to double the education resources at the first place. Which means their house is significantly wasting resources and money at the first place. Our house can significantly save the education resources and money at the first place. This money that you could post, we need to using the education resources or need to train those kind of program. We can use it in other ways, like Macao, we're just directly giving people money directly or giving them much more welfare at the first place. The happiness rate of the Macao is super high because of the money. Even if the job in Macao is quite similar, they only working in the casino, they're still happy because your everyday life is only 8 hours in the casino probably. But after that, you can use the money to enjoy their life, have a good life. The comparable there's the house is poor people cannot know what is good at it. They don't have the money. They can never enjoy it at the first place. They need to prove why there's a house those kind of poor people can enjoy at the first place. This should be the top priority of this wrong. Because A, welfare and money is a certain happiness that you can enjoy at the first place. There's a house, like job, maybe not at the first place. But secondly, money means different or variety of the happiness, like buying your daughter a book or buying your daughter something. But there's a house can only claim one kind of happiness, the other side of bringing at the first place. I think second case about the employment and economic recession, where ourselves can have much less employment. When the machine come up, the government can much easier to quantify how many teachers or how many lawyers or how many doctors the society need at first base. They need to ensure how many jobs to provide to society. It's no longer the opportunity cost that this year those people who learn the economics, they are super rich, they get a lot of salaries. Then millions of people coming to university, they learn econ at the first place. Then it's a time the society is so speculative and many people just irrationally choosing the majors and wasting the resources, and then suddenly find out they would no longer need that many kind of economic students or whatever at the first place. If we can solve the unemployment, this means that people have more trust to consume. They can likely to care about, sure about their future as you are good at the first place. You won't be fired because the society give you the quota as first place. If they're not how they are, they may have no incentive to do that. We can still decreasing the salaries or whatever to let them have still incentive to work hard at the first place. What we prove is we prove A, government have much more money. B, we tell you it's likely to stop or much easier to deal with unemployment money at the first place. This is the biggest quantity of the people or most of the people they have to deal. If the second speaker didn't deal, they have to lose. Second clash on the poor people's happiness. I think first on education, no engagement. First, my partner tell you, those kind of poor people can feel more certain to invest into the education. Second, there is much certain government scholarship will give it to you because they see you as a doctor in the future. They can give you to get the education at the first place. why education matters a lot for the people's happiness. It means you can enjoy the films or learn the languages. You can enjoy the something as similar as the rich people at the first place, or at least read a book at the first place. It means a massive happiness in the long run at the first place, never engage. The second is a happiness that is on the other house. They are uncertain whether I can survive or not. Probably on one side house, because we stop the unemployment, they will be happier. But third, they are uncertain I can feed my kids or not. But outside the house, at least you get some jobs, you are good at it, you won't die. But the other house, they didn't provide for people, will be employed, will get a good job in the other house at the first place. The third is our mechanism. Again, more money, they are good at it, we can pay more welfare, we can still win this round. What's the trade-off in this round? I think there's a trade-off is that they may force some people to be doctor. We are willing to do this kind of trade-off. Maybe he's not enjoyable to be a doctor, but probably he can still see the patients smile when you do it well at the first place. Even if you do not enjoy these jobs, probably in the process, when you do it good, other people praise you, there's a basic empathy will let you to feel proud of yourself. You can still get happy at the first place. But also, they didn't engage with my part of the case about you still can do habits. You still can be doctors and you can do debating on both sides of the house. How come that it's a massive harm on them at first place? But secondly, the trade-off on the other house is millions of the poor people don't know what they are good at it. They just do nothing in life flat. They have no incentive working hard. They have no incentive to in the society to be treated well. The government just don't care about them. It's all of us who care about them, who give them employment, who let them be better. They at least got a chance of the poor people. The trade-off is we force some rich people to come here to work, but our house can massively helping the poor people. Quantity bigger, vulnerability bigger. We have to win. The implication of this round is we prove that poor people can be much happier. The society have more money. This means that my happiness coming from traveling. Some people coming from friends or whatever. This is the majority of people. There's the only winning condition of their house is how let people to working in the happy in the workplace is the majority. We prove that traveling or the alternate welfare is the majority of people's want, but not work happiness. We prove the society have more efficiency, more welfare, and let people to be happier. We have to win this round.
I thank the Deputy Prime Minister for their fine speech. I next invite the Deputy Leader of Opposition to defend the opposition case.
Judges ready? My speech starting in 3, 2, 1. Two things in my speech. First, telling you when there's a house individuals going to be harmed and how the society in there's a house going to face more discrimination and hierarchy. And then moving on to tell you why the counterfactual, which is our world is more better off in terms of happiness and innovation to the whole society. Before that, two pieces of rebuttals. First, they say people will not work hard in our side. This is not true because you still need the money, you still have the motivation to work. Secondly, in our side house, it still exists that you work hard, you got self-value, you do good, you got praise. These are the motivation to push people to work hard, right? Then they say people in our side house do not have a job. This sucks. They ignore the fact that we still have social welfare system and also government cater to the unemployment rate and we're trying the people to get a job, right? Moving on to the next argument about how there's a house harm personal interest. In the end, there's a problem they do not solve, which is the motion never say the machine is able to take into account of your talent or your potential. The word in the info slide is about skills. My partner already told you, skill is something that's cultivated after your birth. It could be determined by things like gene, make you physically strong or talented. But more importantly, if your family is richer, you are able to cultivate more skills and you are able to make your skills more advanced. Because cultivation of skill needs time, money, and energy, right? Under these scenarios, in their type house, it's just impossible for you to identify a skill that you never acquired. In other words, the poor people in our side, in their side, cannot be doctor, right? The government what government is doing is just taking away the standard tests that allow the poor people to be a medicine students. Moving on to the argument, why it harm personal interests. It's going to push every individual to use this machine, especially girls told us it's going to be at a really early age. This is what deters individuals to develop their own personal interests, but to pursue a career that the government pushed them to do. For example, we told you companies going to push individuals to use this machine because they do not want to spend time on doing things like super day, behavior tasks, or interview. What they want to do is the most suitable candidate. If you do not undergo the machine, probably companies will not consider your application in the first place, and you're going to be isolated in the mainstream that is dominated by the rich people who want to cultivate the future politician in their interest, and they're willing to skip all the selection system and procedure to get the position they're good at. Now, more importantly, the state is going to exert pressure on individuals to undergo this kind of machine because my panel already framed to you, this machine is in the interest of government's utilitarian. They want everyone to in their most efficient position in the interest of government rather than the individual's happiness, right? Later. Now, I'm also going to tell you that the conclusion is Alex in their house will undergo the machine and be allocated to a position as a doctor and never aware his talents to be a debater, right? This is how Alex is not able to debate in their house. Then moving to the second argument, telling you about how in their house there's more discrimination. What will parents do in their house work? They're going to cultivate the kids to acquire a talented skill for their dream job in the parents' idea. Simply because people around them and the rich parents themselves are at the well-paid jobs. They are clear about the metric, and this information is not available for the poor people who are unclear of the metrics due to the information asymmetry. It's just easier for the rich parents to know what to teach and make it more efficient for the rich to occupy the well-paid job, and likely to see more privileged kids dominate those jobs just because they do not have standardized to allow the poor kids. More importantly, in their house, let's see how the poor are going to suffer in them. Not only suffer from information asymmetry, but also lack of time, money, and energy to teach their kids, even if they're aware of their kids' talents, if they assume that. And also, they're more likely to believe in destiny, because for the poor people, probably gene is the only thing they rely on under this kind of machine, right? This is how the poor people are going to be more disparate, disappointed, and this is how what they say, no hope to break their class ceiling, right? What will people react when they get the job? And this is the most important argument here. They will have an idea that they deserve this position because they acquire more advanced skill than others. Jobs is not equal, right? Simply because the payment differs due to different value created. The quantity is not the same. Fewer probably means more valuable. And also the states do not need equal quality of jobs just because more urgent job positions going to get more respected. This is the point why the people taking the most privileged positions got to discriminate against others. They are more likely to look down upon who are eliminated by the machines, right? They fail the exam, they are the loser. They are more or less skilled, so they are hard to realize the equal resources, and everything is so simplified, and then no one got to adopt it because the poor is just enjoying those kind of benefits. Before next argument, where are?
Government utility, gene superiority, or discrimination of the jobs and rich people to get advantage is not exclusive. Why is it housing better?
This is exactly my second argument about why in our side house we win on the happiness and innovation. First, talking about happiness, more opportunity going to benefit people because you are not limited to one single position. People are able to try more, means they are able to know more other jobs, they have more knowledge, they meet different people, this is how they make friends with others and have the social skills, and also they acquire unexpected skills in the midway. This is how people will feel benefited from different experiences, because it's going to be really hard in their side house to find the people that have different experience or skills, because everyone makes similar skills, occupy similar positions, just not going to have diversified experience. More importantly, when Alex asked questions, how many people enjoy jobs in our side house? We told you, at least in our side, they have the choice to opt out if they are unhappy. While in their side house, they do not have this kind of opt-out position. Even when they're unhappy, they still have a strong incentive to make a job better out. This is why we see company welfare girls just after work reunion. In your side, people are just born with equal skills. More importantly, let's define standardized tasks. We believe they have really good metrics because they're universal and standardized, while other factors are very enormously within and between schools, which gives standardized tasks for colleges to consider when evaluating applicants. Secondly, the testing companies have incentive to design the test in a way that yields valuable information, since otherwise colleges will not consider them. Why those kind of standard tests is unbiased and benefits the poor people that we want to defend. First, it is objective, which means it's easier to identify and correct for imbalance, and there's less capacity for admission officer subconscious bias to influence their judgment relative to the essay or letter of recommendation or their skills in their subhouse. Secondly, it's just trivial, which means that it's unlikely like other components of admission system. They provide a universal standard in which all students have an equal shot at doing well. Plus, people know what material is likely to show up in standard tests, which allows them to prepare, while in their subhouse, the skills that we already proved to you is just the information asymmetry, while the rich people have no incentive to let the underprivileged aware what is happening in their side. This is how they can suffer from more inequality and biases towards people, and also lack of innovation, because people are stuck in one job and not being pushed to get innovate and with society to advance.
I thank the Deputy Leader of Opposition for that fine speech, and I next invite the government with the summary of the government bench case. Here.
No gender preference, and before my speech, great thanks to my partners and Alex and Musky, and also great thanks to Macao Games. And I hope I can give a very clear speech to win this debate. Okay, my speech will start in 3, 2, 1. The biggest problem in the opposition side is they misunderstand this kind of motion. Let's make it clear. It's not about you whether or not you're working hard. It's about you giving poor people ability and bargaining power to know their talents to find the jobs. Three response to their cases. They take my partner has already made it clear about this kind of machine. It is based on based on the early age of this kind of majority of people, based on the gene test, based on helping people to find their talents. The case about their side house talking about physical talents, they never prove out what is a unique harm pushing from their side house. But we're gonna tell you this kind of physical talents is good because you're giving poor people at least giving them bargaining power to know that what they are good at. You're giving them power and giving them ability to find the job much more easier. The likelihood is stands in our side house. They say that rich people will cultivate this kind of talent, but they never prove. But it's in our city house, you at least giving poor people a chances to get educations. Because when people knowing that they are good at something, because people knowing that they are talented about something, the poor people will have an incentive to cultivate them. But in their city house, this kind of group of people having no bargaining power to cultivate these kind of things. And even if you don't buy this kind of response, we're going to tell you, rich people, it is not mutually exclusive in our city house, in both city house, because rich people will cultivate anyway. But however, they never prove out what it is a unique harm when these kind of rich people will cultivate these kind of things. Second response, we're telling you we're at least helping poor people to having talent to climb on the social ladder. They never engage. They're all talking about rich people will manipulate, will control the societies. But however, all of the cases is about the negative pushes. We're telling the positive pushes about how we can help the minority of the people. We at least win on the vulnerability metrics. Thirdly, they talk about the fairness. They think that this kind of job will be secure, but they never prove you what is the likelihood, what is the capacity they will reach this kind of fairness. We're telling you, at least using this kind of machines to tell the people what you're good at, people having the bargaining power, people having the capacity to knowing these kind of things. In our city house, we're telling you these kind of metrics much more important than the fairness, and they never engage in these kind of things. And also they talk about innovation. It's very clear that they never prove us what is the link and what is the likelihood they will reach this kind of innovation. Failures cannot equal to the innovation. It's in outside house. Only if you maximize people's talents, you can maximize the innovation. We prove you what in outside house we can reach this kind of capacity. None of the impact cannot stand in this kind of debate. Also, let's talk about the happiness. To respond to the happiness cases, they talk about different kind of people has a personal interest. They never tell you the process of like reaching the different interests. But if you buy the metric of their set house given to you, people have the achievement. That actually is based on our premise. We're telling you at least you're giving people talents to reach this kind of job. You're having a sense of achievement. Second, they're telling you that they agree that people will find higher wages anyways. But if it's in their set house, if you don't giving people capacity, if you don't giving people bargaining power, how can you help this kind of group of people to find the higher wages? How can you maximize their happiness? You cannot buy it's in their set house. You cannot buy their mechanism that leads to the happiness. That's also weighing the happiness cases. What is happiness in this debate? Let's make it clear. They never make it clear about happiness. 2 points. What is happiness? It's in our set house. We're telling you people have clear perception of themselves, of their talents, and second, people having more likelihood to succeed and fulfill their interests, even if we are talking about interests. The comparative in this debate is that the interest is not mutually exclusive. We're telling you the tipping point for this debate is about how you're giving people ability, how you're helping people to climb up the social ladder. The group we prioritize is the middle class people. If you buy our cases, if you buy all of the metrics, you should knowing that the most important group of people is middle class people. The rich people's cases is excluded from this kind of debate. 4 metrics. What do we under happiness? First of all, likelihood. It's in outside help when you're not clear about our advantages. There are less opportunity costs in finding these kind of things, in opt out or opt in. Even if they're talking about people cannot opt out. It's in their set house, people are having opportunity costs because they will find the jobs anyways. But there are no certainty in their set house to prove why people will reach the happiness. Second, it's in outside house. You need to adapt to this kind of social need because in this motion, in this world, you need to find this kind of jobs. In their set house, they also need to find the jobs. But however, what is important in our set house? You getting the job much more easier and you will do well because you have the talent. It's in outside house. People have more likelihood to get promoted. And this kind of promoted, it is important because people get a certainty of how, people get a certainty of achievement. If you buy their metric, they talk about achievement. We're telling you we win on this kind of achievement metric. For these kind of things, they never prove the likelihood. Second win metrics about certainty. I have proved you before. It's in outside house when people have a talent, people are much more easier to climb the social ladder. Even it's during the process they're getting promoted. The process when you're getting the achievement is much more certain in outside house. The third way metrics is that they talk about interest. Interest cannot stand in this kind of society because first of all, because when people finding that they are not good at it, they are less likely to compete others to win this job, even if they are passionate about. So in their set house, people cannot fulfill this kind of interest. And second of all, it's in our set house. In their set house, even people opt out, they will have a irreversible harm because the process when you finding another job that you are passionate about, it is uncertain in their set house. They never prove you the likelihood. They never prove you what is the unique benefit they will reach. We're telling you that it will having a irreversible harm. It's in our set house when people having more likelihood to reach this kind of things they want. This kind of help, this kind of happiness is much more certain in our set house. Okay, even if you don't buy these kind of things, we still win because even if you get a job, you find you are not good at it. You're more likely you will get fired. More likely you will give up. It's in their set house. This situation is much more worse. Let's also engage in weighing the efficiency. Even if you don't buy the winning metrics I tell you about happiness, this debate is not about actor motions. What is unique in this debate is my partner tell you about the efficiency. 2 winning metrics, but we also win on the efficiency level, likelihood of match up the resources. We are clear that people's skills and social needs is matched up. There are less people are waiting or like losing job in our society. It's in our set house, giving people bargaining power to use their talents. It's much more people will have an incentive to have jobs. Much more easier in the society. The society will provide more jobs and provide much more social welfare. And second way metric about the certainty. At least we're giving poor people a guidance and certainty to find jobs. Let's do the trade-off. Even if in our set house, passionate people cannot find the job that they are good at in other kind of careers, the opposition is worse. Because first of all, you can't help the passionate people to find job easier. And also, majority of the people or the majority of the lower class people don't know what they're don't know what they can do in the society. It's in our study house, we at least help the group of people that they have a talent. It's in our study house, we help the minority people. It's in our study house, we let the majority people to know that what they are good at. For all the reasons, we bring out these two clashes.
I thank the government whip for the fine speech, and I next invite the opposition whip to defend the opposition case.
Am I audible for everyone? So, no general correspondence, verbally I prefer 45 minutes, but whatever. Without further ado, my speech will start in 3, 2, and 1. There are generally two clashes in today's debate. First is equality, secondly is personal interest versus utility. Before that, Rivaldo to the previous speaker. Previous speaker firstly talk about in their side of the house, they are going to have more efficiency of government. Firstly, we believe this is not important in this debate because in the motion it clearly said choose to war in this war, which means that we are going to more likely to debate on an individual level, which means this motion is more likely to be a common act motion. And secondly, we believe that even though in your side of the house you are going to allocate, even though this is not an active debate, but we believe that because this motion emphasizes skill rather than potential, it's more likely happening after the cultivation of talents. So it's unclear to me why in your side of the house you are going to cultivate it, you are going to first select the talent and then cultivate it in a specific aspect, rather than what the motion talk about is it's more likely to be first cultivated. You have this kind of skill, and then you are going to hold a selection of talents. And secondly, opposition government talk about in our side of the house, people have no autonomy to choose the jobs they like. We believe this is largely untrue. So firstly, we believe that most of the people who do have the autonomy to choose, even though they don't have full autonomy of their life, but they do have some autonomy to sign up for university, sign up for their major, because they can actually sign up for something that is more relatively and more likely they are going to make money off. And secondly, we believe that you have the time to do investigation in the house because you have the resources to do some internship, you can do some investigation in this job to realize what the talent is, what this job is more likely to about. And lastly, even though you are a worst case scenario, that you are not going to choose the job you like in the first place, but you are more likely to choose after you can in our side of the house, you have the chance to quit this job and move on to the next one. And secondly, even though in our worst case scenario that people don't have any autonomy, just like the example they talk about. But we believe that in our side of the house debate is about comparison. We do have relatively more autonomy because, for example, I hate business, but I still but I need the money in this kind of career. But I can choose which kind of industry I want to be in. For example, internet company or fast fashion. So one of them must make me feel better in this kind of job. And this margin is actually very important because firstly, we have long working hour. It's about lifetime. It's about 8 hours a day and over 50 years. So which means that the margin multiple to time is actually large enough to change this whole debate. Moving on to the clashes then. So first clashes is about equality. We believe that government today run an extremely convenient case by only mentioning the poor people because poor talents is limited in its proportion. It's unclear to me why a lot of the poor talents is going to people actually have the common intelligence. It's unclear to me why in your side of the house there are going to be a lot of the poor people suddenly be selected over this machine because talent people is rare in today's debate. And secondly, we believe that it's more likely poor people is going to worse off in your side of the house because firstly it's about education resources. You are not going to have enough education resources to cultivate the skill in the first place. And secondly, you have information asymmetry. Poor people are less aware of which kind of skill is more appreciated by the machine because the surrounding people is more likely also from lower class people, also from low end skill, which means that rich people is going to have more information. We believe that counterfactual is much
much more better, just like Kelly has already proved to you why standard test is going to be objective and fair for most of the people. Moving on to the second thing, about personal interest versus utility. We believe that firstly, it is not true that personal interest is not going to count and not going to generate utility, because utility is not only about money, but also about happiness feeling in this job. So firstly, we believe that in government bench, people is going to feel more pain in their job, because firstly, the job is possibly is not very, you are not very interested in this job, because firstly, the education is designed by the government, which means the skill you cultivated is actually designed by the government in the first hand. And secondly, we believe that the job pool in your set of house is also designed by the government. So even though in your set of house you're going to identify what is the talent, but the skill, the job available for you to choose is actually designed by the government. So most of the people is end up in the occupation that they don't really like the most. Rather than, secondly, we believe that even though in the best case of God, that you interested in the job in the first place, but life is about uncertainty. When you meet new people, when you experience new things, it's more likely you are going to have different interests in the future. And we believe that our government bench is going to ask the citizen to live in a kind of life that is boring, that is that is predictable till the death, which is bad. And secondly, we believe that interest is going to generate a lot of utility. So firstly, even though you are not skillful right now, for example, you are not very good debater, but firstly, passion is going to drive you to learn. It's going to make you feel bad. It's going to drive you to learn more and learn more things to actually make you a better and better debater, because you have the passion. And secondly, we believe that interest is going to generate focus, because if I don't like some kind of thing, it's very hard for me to pay attention to it. But if I like this kind of thing really much, I'm going to have more and more focus. And lastly, we believe that even in our worst case scenario that people don't success, you are more willing to accept the failure in our set of house, because you have the interest in the first hand. And lastly, they talk about unemployment problem. But we believe unemployment problem occur when occupation is smaller than the number of labor. We believe that we don't understand why in opposition bench their model is going to generate more occupation, and they give no mechanism to prove. And lastly, it's about innovation brought in our set of house. My partner has already proved to you, a lot of occupation don't exist in the first hand. Because of you do more and more research, you are going to innovate a lot of problems. So here comes the way why we believe efficiency is more important than the utility of people is more important than opposition's efficiency. So firstly, we believe happiness matter, because in stats quo we see a lot of rich people got really severe depression and kill themselves. This is the moment that we feel like human beings as a social animal, we need this kind of recognition and happiness in our set of house. And this is more important than any other thing in our life. And secondly, we believe engaging with the alternative of the government bench about firstly habit. But we believe that when working hours is extremely long, we believe that the habit, from time to time, cannot cure the boring of your occupation. And secondly, they talk about you can be proud of yourself, but we believe this is no mechanism and no certainty to prove when you're competing with thousands of people who also selected as the skillful and more skillful in this society for this occupation. There's no security that you are going to stand out and feel proud of yourself. Based on that, we believe that we went over opposition in terms of why efficiency is going to happen in our house, but also we prove to you why happiness of people is more important, and I prove to you why opposition's equality problem is not matter at all, based on direct protocols.
I thank the opposition for that fine speech, and I'd like to next invite the opposition reply to provide their final remarks.
Starting 3, 2, 1. Two things here. First, about happiness. They say that when you lock in one position lifelong, you're going to be happy because this is what you are good at. This is not true, because you are unable to leave if you feel unhappy. While this is likely to happen because repetitive job is just boring, and also jobs occupy the majority of your daytime, right? More importantly, when you lock there, you do not have new tasks to done, and also you do not have a goal to get promoted, which is lack of sense of achievement. More importantly, we already proved to you the personal preference is a really subjective concept, while their machine is more likely to be done by evaluate a person in terms of their skill, which is in the utility metric of the government. Now, moving on to the opportunity cost. They say if you do not know what you are good at, you try, you fail, you will feel really sad and you waste resources. First of all, it's not necessarily true that you will feel sad about your first attempt, right? Because it's still a new experience. During this process, you are able to acquire new skill. Secondly, you also have friends along with you to encourage you, and friendship is more likely to form in outside house because you will face different people with different characters, while in outside house, where in your early age you already determine your fixed career, probably you are less likely to make new attempts and make new friends, right? As long as the fact that your parents more likely to push you to follow the path, and you also firmly believe in that because you do not have a right to opt out. More importantly, let's talk about innovation. Government said they have a job quota to ensure everyone have a position. Really, this is the least thing we want because job quota is what harms innovation. Job is always there means you do not have concern at all. This is why you lack a motivation to acquire new skill or to find a new market as a companies, right? Really, society need innovation because this is how young startup companies are break class ceiling to break the monopoly of big companies, and also new market means new position and offer opportunity for the poor people. More importantly, innovation exactly the opportunity for the poor people to break their class ceiling because poor people are able to enter into prestigious universities thanks to standardized tests and affirmative action, and this is how they acquire the skill to be a programmer and leave their poverty, right? Standardized tests and affirmative action does not exist in their side because government take a really convenient way to select people based on their current skills. Really, this is the least thing we want because they're defending the world that keep dominated by the rich and privileged people, and they call the attempt to cultivate the poor things like a waste of public resources. This is not true at all because government bears the obligation to provide education to let the poor people to acquire new skills due to the birth lottery and structural problems, right? In their house, government has no incentive to fulfill this obligation of educating because machine already lock people in the position that will not change in their side, right? Based on all of these reasons, we believe that government already lose when they're excusing at the expense of the poor people's interest. Now let's talk about the certainty issue. We believe certainty is not true in their side, to be honest, because it's determined by structural reasons and prosperity of an industry, whether you have competitive, the counterpart, etc. If an industry is dying, then even if you are skillful, you're still going to be fired. If you are most talented in A, probably other people are just more talented than you, then you still get fired. Under these scenarios, in their house, they still cannot determine every skillful people will get a position. Under this scenario, only in our house, we allow this kind of competition and we allow the standard tests to offer students from underprivileged background to showcase their academic potential through a high testing school, even when other aspects of their application are less competitive with applicants from wealthier backgrounds. This is what we defend today, and we win this debate.
I thank the opposition reply for their fine speech, and I invite the government reply to conclude the debate as a whole.
Oh, give me a second, sorry. Before the reply, I just want to thank you to my coaches and friends. Thank you for your help. That's the reason why I'm here. Also, specifically, I want to thank you to my girlfriend, Jenny. Without you, I would quit debating a long time ago. Thank you for supporting me, and thank you for trusting me. Working is one kind of happiness. The up is not responsive and not engage others. The only response coming from reply, and you should run a credit. how their side house can get money and how people can survive. If they can enjoy the other kind of happiness, which means they can buy other clothes at the first place. This is also, we have more freedom at the first place, which our side house also achieved their principle, but they never prove how exactly the poor people in their side house can get a job. Even if they fail, as that's the government quota and make it into the society, it won't be fired at the first place. Their side house is just to feel worse because you cannot feed your kids. Our side house is far more important. There's a house, if they say forcing people to jobs is bad, we say that is good because we let the society to know and we maximize the social resources. We let people who didn't find jobs can get a job. We just let from a vulnerability, we should win this round. The problem case is only under a premise or under in some scenario that this body or this task will be done badly by the government. We should only engage on our worst case. It looks like the rich people can take advantage. It looks like the government is so stupid. They won't take a lawyer, econ, or won't teach the skills they need at first place. I think if the government do want, like the double skill talents, just teach them at the first place. Innovation is not is a tipping point. Plus, I prove to you that this is in the democratic countries where both won't let the rich people will have a big say at the first place. Or even if the rich people have a big say, why the state standardized test is good, they're still unproven. If their logic is skill is important and let the rich people can take the advantages, then their standardization means that 20 years of the practice of skill. They just have to losing those kind of like fairness, and there's far more skills and far more disadvantage on their work. At least our house, some of the super smart poor people can be invested, can go to the middle schools or whatever, can know they are good at the first place. There's a house, they won't even know what they are good at the first place. The second, plus their word is not comparative. Their word say, people hold one skill, so there's less innovation. We say they are good at it because they are more talented at the first place. We are very easy to win this kind of innovation clash because we just teach the talented people a different skill, which is super easy to go. But there's a house they need to find as many talents as our house as to be. It's far harder to achieve at the first place. There's more logic gap their house didn't prove. We win in innovation. Second clash on efficiency. At least, at the best, they prove that people are not happy to be a doctor. They are being forced to be a doctor at the first place. This is not the true comparative. The true comparative is most of the doctors on their house is also tired, also exhausted. They also want to leave at the first place, but they're still being forced to be by your daddy or by your families because of family at the first place. But more importantly, they never engage onto those kind of like losing resources onto the government money part at the first place. They double the education money because if the people change at one time of their job, it means you need to double the investment of the resources, the money being wasted. Also, why their work will be happy? There's so many people for their whole life didn't find out they are good at it. They never engage on the worst case, but just assume everyone can find a good job. Like all the poor people at the first place, their response is they say, I have already fulfilled the government duty at the first place, so the government won't help me, which is coming from reply, and it's so fucking late. This house never tell me what exactly, like if the government know that these people are the talented, is that the government can see the certainty to hurry them. Because it's democratic, they need to be responsive or responsible for their voters. That's the time they were helping the poor people, let them to be survived at the first place. What's the top priority of this round? Probably it's not innovation. Probably it's not principle. It's the people's life. They can feed their children. That's the basic human nature at the first place. When they are born, we've been giving the nationality at the first place. I just don't know what we give you an extra occupation is so important for you at the first place. Even if you force me to be a doctor, but I can save many poor people to survive, I'm willing to do this trade-off. I'm willing to let the poor people can maximize the social resources and let them to have a much better life in the future. That's the reason why they will lose. They never tell me how the poor people can get a job. We tell you that the society can give them a quota, can let them be better, while most of Chinese or only 10% of poor people can go into the university in China. With all reasons, we have to win this round.
For a fine speech and everyone for a wonderful EFL final. It's also
Okay.